The truth that I just lives in my heart is that women are powerful change makers. And the reason I love the sacred and why we're bringing this sacred women's wisdom space is because for me, that's who you are in your truth, is that your sacred wisdom lives within you. Welcome. I'm Kareena. So I do a lot of the facilitation and the coaching in Reclaim Her. My passion and my why and the reason that I do this work is because I wholeheartedly believe and have seen this created that women are the change makers for the next generation. So, and for our generation, but in particular for the next generation. So for me, what I've witnessed is when a woman lives her truth, when she lives her heart, when she lives her passion, what lives inside of her and gives herself the freedom to do that by raising heart-centered children who then become heart-centered adults. It may be creating beautiful heart-centered businesses. It may be just being a heart-centered employee and bringing some love and some truth and some wisdom to her workplace. Whatever it is, the truth that I just lives in my heart is that women are powerful change makers. And the reason I love the sacred and why we're bringing this sacred women's wisdom space is because for me, that's who you are in your truth, is that your sacred wisdom lives within you. So while I'll be sharing my sacred wisdom and what has been whispering to me over the last month or so, or week, or whatever comes through, because I channel pretty much everything that comes through intuitively. So while I will share that, this is also a space for you to connect with your own wisdom, because my greatest learning is we all have our own truth and it looks very different for each of us. That's why we can have different values. We can raise our children in different ways. We can have different passions. And maybe a great example of this is when I saw Marianne Williamson speak in Brisbane. I couldn't even tell you when it was. I'll go to say a year ago, could have been 3. It was sometime in the last period of time. But she spoke about that there's a wound in the earth and each of us play a part to show up to that which is important to us. So if you imagine this giant wound, if you like, or this breach in truth, we can look at it that way as well, where we're living out of integrity or where the world has moved to a place of being out of integrity. We each bring our wisdom and our passion and our unique selves to bring healing to one particular aspect of that. So for me, that's working with women to connect to their heart so that they're living their truth. That's my unique part. But equally, you know, and you've heard Sophie talking about health and well-being and the physical body and connecting women to their own body's truth. But for someone else, it might be working with the earth. It might be working with animals. It might be working with children. It might be art. It might be inspiring the world through the creations that come through you. So whatever it is, that's what we're bringing forth. That's what I'm inviting you to connect with. For me, that is sacred women's wisdom, is your passion, is your knowing, is your intuition, and is your inner truth. So a huge part of my journey has been intuition and connecting with that consciously and teaching women to connect consciously to their own intuition. So this is like a tiny taste of that for you and creating space for you to really set the intention now to just go, oh, I've landed. I'm going to open my beautiful heart and I'm going to create some space to listen to it. So that's what you're welcomed into today. So thank you for joining us. And this is like an altar where you get to devote some time to you. So there's the sacred, this is the sacred invitation to come to your own altar and honor you. I think we should start just by taking a moment. So to close your eyes and just bring yourself fully present. So what do I mean by that? That means bringing all of your energy that you might have tucked behind you, that you might have scattered somewhere else any places where your mind is thinking about other things, and just bringing yourself fully into your body and into this moment. And you may like to take some long, slow, deep breaths into your heart. And just noticing how your body feels. Is it relaxed and calm? Does it feel a bit jittery and nervous? A bit unsure? However it feels is just perfect. You can just take another long, slow, deep breath into your heart. And I just invite you to choose to be of service to your heart and your divinity. So choosing to be of service to your heart means choosing to be of service to your truth, to who you are, to what you long for, to the woman you're becoming. And to your divinity is to that energy, that force that is greater than you. The place that may have answers and solutions and information for you that you're not even aware of, but that has your highest good in its intention for you. And so just choosing to be of service to your heart and to your divinity. And anything that feels tight, just allowing that to melt away now. Anything that you're holding, just allowing it to soften so you can put it down. And as you breathe into your heart, I invite you to notice what color your heart is today. What color is the energy of your heart? And it may be one color, or it may be many colors. It may be a bit dimmed, or it may be bright and sparkly. Just noticing how it is right now. And noticing if that color that you see feels like you in your truth, in your fullness, in your joy, in your love. And if it doesn't, I just invite you with your breath to bring some transformation there too. You might like to breathe in a color and then breathe out any dimness. Just noticing how with your intention, you can begin to influence the color and the energy of your heart. So it starts to feel more like you, brighter, more alive, more energized. And if you want to bring even more energy in, you might just like to move your body a little bit, shake off anywhere that feels stuck, and then take an even bigger, deeper breath in, noticing where you've held back, and just breathing deeply into your heart and allowing yourself that permission to fill your heart up with the light that you are. Yeah, that feels good, doesn't it? Just noticing how good it feels to fill yourself up with you, with your light, with who you are. And as you do that, I invite you to set an intention for yourself for this session. And that may be as simple as, I choose to listen to my heart. I choose to open and receive what's here for me today. Or you may have a personal intention that is alive in you. So just taking a moment to feel that come alive in you now and really choose that for yourself. when you have that intention, you may even like to imagine a candle in front of you and light that candle in front of you to your intention. And let's hold the intention that we activate, amplify, and hold your intention as sacred. When you feel ready, I just invite you to breathe yourself back into your body, breathing back into your heart, wiggling your toes and feeling yourself back in this space. And when you feel ready, you can open your eyes and you might like to take a little drink. So while you settle, I'm just going to talk for a little bit about the theme for today and what has come alive for me. So feel free to relax and just let yourself feel and notice where anything that I'm sharing might resonate with where you're at. Notice if it lands gently or if there's nope, or if there's a bit of inner conflict around that for you. Just noticing how you feel in your body. So today's theme is about freedom. So the premise for today is that freedom is allowing ourselves to be all of who we are. It's giving ourselves permission to live. So what does that mean? So we're all living, right? We're all living and breathing and we're all here. But are we actually living, or are we just surviving, moving through life, enduring, putting up with, living by obligation? Because there's a huge difference between living our truth, even knowing our truth, and living our truth. So we can know our truth, we can feel that impulse in our heart, we can feel that pull forward to something greater. But are we actually allowing ourselves to dive in and to really experience life? So for most women, the answer is no, or at least closer to the no end than the yes end. So why is that? Because a myriad of reasons, life experience, trauma, pain, struggles, the things that we had, the decisions that we've made based on the things that we've found hard in our life, our genetic imprint and teaching from our parents and our grandparents, who we can be, who we can't be, who we are and who we're not, to belong in this family, if you like, this group of people. And belonging is such a powerful call for people that often we diminish or deny parts of ourselves in order to belong, in order to be safe within our community of family. And then, of course, there's the bigger picture of that, which is belonging in society, right? And that's our cultural imprint. So that's the part that says who women can be, who we are within groups within a community, right? Like obviously there's different groups within a community that you can see. You only have to go to a shopping center and you can go, oh, that's that particular group. Oh, they're the boho hippies. They're the alternate living on the edge people. They're the corporate people. We have these little subgroups within community, and in those subgroups we have who we can be and who we can't be. And then of course we have this whole imprint around the suppression of women. I think we've all been on the tail end of that in one form or another, where we've tried to be more of who we are, and that's just not accepted or not okay, or it feels deeply unsafe to be that. And that may not be an external thing. That may just be an accumulation of our imprint until we then become our own jail keepers. And that's really what today is about, is that freedom and giving ourselves permission to live means giving ourselves permission to experience everything. And that means we experience beauty, love, joy, pleasure, delight, fun, pain, challenge, heartache, despair, collapse, whatever the myriad, the rainbow is that life is showing up for you, right? But we as humans and as women, because we're also responsible, we tend to be responsible for others in some way as a general rule. We also need to keep a stable ship. So then that also means that we need to shut down these aspects of ourselves that want to feel deeply, that want to experience the highs of pleasure, and even want to experience the fullness of going into our pain and our struggle, so that then we can process it and then we can move beyond it. But what we tend to do is we tend to regulate ourselves, which means we don't want to feel too much pain. We don't want to feel too much pleasure. We don't want to become too erratic. We just want to keep a really stable ship. And that robs us of living a life. So am I saying, we need to go and feel the highs and lows all the time while we're in the middle of our workplace? Of course not. That would not be safe or appropriate or probably anything you want anyway. But what I am saying is that for us to be free, we have to give ourselves permission to feel, and we have to give ourselves permission to live, and live who we are. Not live who our parents think we should be, or live who we think our parents think we should be, or we think what society thinks we should be, because most of the time, no one's actually saying this to us anymore, right? We have a thought, go, oh my God, I'd love to do this. And then it's, oh, hang on a minute. Either what will that person think? I can't do that. There's a feedback loop of no's that we impose within our own mind. Or we go, I haven't got time for that. Oh, who am I to want that? Who am I to share my beauty and go after what I want? Who are you not, of course, is the answer to that. But I'm too much. If I let myself go there, I'm going to be too much. And being too much is a huge thing for a lot of people. They've been told they were too much, even then when they were this little, right? How can you be too much when you're a 3-year-old? Of course you're meant to be too much. But too much, or we have the story of we're not enough. Or if we're really lucky, we swing on that whole spectrum and move ourselves from I'm not enough to there's a tiny window of perfect in there, and then suddenly you become too much. And then you go back, pull yourself back in, and then you're not enough. And we swing on this spiral is what I see for a lot of women, of between not enough and too much. So freedom is where your soul has its full expression. And can you just do that on a whim in a heartbeat? Probably. Are most women likely to? No, it's a journey. It's a journey of allowing and permission and feeling discomfort and feeling vulnerable and letting ourselves be seen, and then freaking out about that and pulling ourselves back in, or letting our heart create something that just came from within, and then judging it and sticking it in a cupboard, or saying something that feels so true, and then an hour later sitting by ourselves second guessing it, going over the conversation. These are the things that we do to ourselves, right? Is that we moderate ourselves as women. So let's not do that anymore, or at least let's be aware of our own patterns of where we do it. I can speak about this because I'm a great moderator. I've been doing that a lot in my life. My life has taken me on this journey in intuition and, doing readings for people, and all of that came with enormous self-judgment of who am I to do this? And oh my God, why am I called to do this work? So I've moved a long way beyond that now and have found how that lives within me and the truth of that. But it was a journey at first of the struggle and the permission and the keeping going and the love for myself to fall in love with who I am. And that starts with, who am I? Am I willing to accept that? And then, oh my God, I love this aspect of me. And for most women, they love that part in their truth, in their quiet moments. They love the part of them that is their soul, that is the thing that lights them up, that makes them impassioned. But it's whether or not they'll actually allow that any expression in the outside world. So I saw Pink. Has anyone else seen Pink in the last couple of weeks? No, she is freaking extraordinary. And here are my takeaways. So, you know, she comes out, she is wearing a leotard, she's bending over in front of the audience, she's spinning, you know, with her legs in ropes right above us. She obviously flies through the air singing and spinning upside down. She sings about her pain. She sings about her challenges. She speaks to the audience and connects with them. And the lesson was, for me, my takeaways from the night were, you know, be more of you, be brave, no limits, and don't hold back. That they were kind of the key lessons. It was just an extraordinary representation of that. And then the next day I do spirit writing nearly every morning. What that means is that I sit and I open my channel and I listen to what wants to come through and I do my writing. So what came through the next day, which is what I want to share today, was that it wasn't so much about the acrobatics and her being brave. It was that she has allowed herself to be all of who she is. And that's what we look at and go, hell yeah, that the incredible nature of her ability to just be all of who she is. And she sings an amazing song about, you know, you would know the song, but the song she sings is, I can be anything I want as long as I change everything about myself, something along those lines. And it was, you know, be more like Britney Spears. And you can imagine early in her career being told to be like Britney Spears might not have gone down that well for Pink. But the message was that she, over time, has given herself more and more permission to just relax into who she is and let herself be seen in that. So that's the invitation. And then yesterday, somehow ended up looking at the Australian drag queen Courtney Act, came across my Instagram, and I went on a deep dive of drag queens, as you do when you're me. And but what was really beautiful and obvious about that is the ones that I felt most deeply are the ones that have given themselves permission to just hand over to what I would assume must be, or at least have started as a very challenging journey. A journey of, you know, sexuality, of showing up as who they are, of going against social convention. But the beauty in their sharing and their freedom to just give themselves permission to who they are, to be who they are, was really awesome. So, you know, if you want to go check that out. It's between Pink and, you know, drag queens and the ability to express freely was a really powerful lesson. And give yourself permission. There are always examples of people living their truth. There are always examples of people who are going against social convention. So even if we want to move the needle 1%, you can find those people who are moving the needle 100%. And then follow that, like give yourself permission to, even if you only move the needle 1%, it's 1% further. If you can move the needle 10% and deep dive into your area of passion, then that's even more extraordinary, right? Because I'm not suggesting that you guys are going to be drag queens or pink. I'm certainly not. But what I am saying is that we each have that passion. We each have that call within us to be more. It's the restlessness that we feel that we often can't identify. It's when we're sitting at home going, oh God, I feel like there's just something here for me that wants to be born. There are people who are stepping into it. And at the end of the day, it's us that hold ourselves back. The invitation in that share is to acknowledge what your unexpressed passion is, what still lives in your heart that you secretly or openly want to dive into, that perhaps you're not doing yet, and giving yourself even just a bit more permission and freedom to feel what that is, to sit in the bliss of what that might be, and then to acknowledge what's in the way of that, and then take a deeper dive and do it anyway. Give yourself the freedom. No one else is going to give it to you. Not a single other person in your life is going to say, here's the freedom to be all of who you are. And even if they do, you're still going to be the one that needs to give yourself that permission to do that and to take that leap. So that is the beginning of this conversation today. So what I thought we would do is start with so that you know what's happening for the rest of this session. I'm going to invite you to answer a couple of questions. Then we're going to do a meditation. So when we do intuitive work, one of the first steps is to declog the channel, right? So if you imagine that you're this beautiful channel that receives divine wisdom, we as humans tend to stuff it full of thoughts and feelings and just stuff that is alive in us. So that's why we've already done one layer of that when we did the weaving, of just noticing how you feel. Can you let it go? What can you put down? So you might like to just take a moment to acknowledge once more how you're feeling. Is there anything that you're carrying that has already softened that you can put down, that you can breathe out, that you can realize is old, outmoded, no longer serves you, that you can just allow to fall away? And then this first activity when we write is about clearing that channel. So we do this in different ways each time with different questions and different activities, but it's an activity in just noticing what's there. It's not about judgment or holding on to it too tight. It's about, I ask a question, you write the answer, and try and have as little inner dialogue around that as possible. Noticing, awareness, that's all perfect and great, but just allowing yourself to let the answer flow. Remembering you're choosing to be of service to your heart and your divinity. So the first question is, what's your biggest struggle right now? What's your suffering? What's your burden? And just write that down, however that looks. It might be one word, it might be a few words, it might be sentences, it might be a scribble if it doesn't have words. And as you do this, you might like to notice where it lives in your body, how it feels. Jot that down. Is it heavy? Is it soft? Is it dark, light, hard? What's the energy of it in your body? We will move beyond this, so it's just a moment that we're letting ourselves see it. And just taking a moment to close your eyes and feel it, notice it. Notice how much of your field it consumes. Where does it live in your body? Like, how much space does it take up? Mental space, physical space, emotional space, thought space, feeling space. Just noticing all of that. And I invite you to notice, and you may like to keep your eyes closed just to get the picture of this first, is notice what's attached to it. So what do you tell yourself when you see this or feel this burden, this struggle? What do you tell yourself? What are your beliefs attached to it? What's the story that you tell yourself about it? Where do you trap yourself with it? What words or feelings or emotions do you use to amplify it or diminish it? Just noticing. You might want to do even like a bit of a brain dump. Just noticing all the pieces that are associated with it. You might like to jot these down as you go, capture the information. And they may be positive or negative. Just noticing what's there. No judgment, just noticing. You might also ask yourself here what you can or can't do or be or have. What's possible, what's not possible when you're sitting and considering this struggle, this burden. And to find a bit more, you might even like to imagine trying to take this burden to resolution. So imagining yourself moving it to a place where you're free of it and just noticing if anything else comes up along that journey. If you imagine yourself trying to resolve it, what else comes up? Where are you still attached to the burden, if anywhere? And if you're starting to feel complete, or even while you're doing it, I just invite you to bring that light. Remember your heart light right at the start. Start to bring your heart light into this struggle, into this challenge, not necessarily to fix it or resolve it, although that may be an end result, but more to wrap it up, to infiltrate it, to allow the light to start shining onto this struggle, this problem, this burden. Allowing the light to soften its edges. And you may even notice that some of those things that felt big start to melt away already, just starting to soften. And I invite you now, if you're not already, just to close your eyes for a moment. And I want you to imagine, connect with, bring forward the part of you that is really struggling, the part of you that is experiencing the struggle. You might see that it's the woman you are now, or it might be a younger version of yourself. It might be all the way back to a child or a baby version of you. But just noticing the part of you, and you might even not know her age, and that's okay too. But just noticing the part of you that is feeling the challenge. The part of you that may be feeling afraid or tender-hearted. She might be feeling angry or frustrated or despairing, confused. Just put your hand on your heart and send her love. Send that part of you that is struggling, that may be resistant or fearful. Just send her love. And as you do that, imagine your true self, your wise, sacred woman, the most powerful aspect of yourself. Imagine her growing stronger as she sends love to this part of you that is feeling afraid and tender and unsure. And if this smaller part of you, shall we say, or this part of you that feels uncertain, that is experiencing the struggle, if she were truly listening to your wise and sacred self, what would you tell her? What would your wise and sacred self have her know? Just continuing to send her love, to listen deeply to your wise and sacred self. What would you have this tender part of you know? And when that feels complete, you might like to take a few moments to write that down. And this is a good time to have a drink, have a brief bathroom break. Or you may like to just sit with this and with your sacred, wise self. Okay, so what I wanted to bring to your awareness as part of that activity is two things. One, that often where our struggle lives is also where our stories live. It's the part that we haven't looked in the eye, it's in our blind spot, right? It's like it can be really hard to pin down and look our challenge right in the eye and acknowledge what's truly happening, partly because it's often painful, it's vulnerable, and sometimes a bit messy because we need to acknowledge parts of ourselves or things that we've done or things that we haven't done that we don't necessarily love to acknowledge about ourselves. But when we do it, there's great freedom in there. And if we can do it without judgment and just knowing that we all have our stuff, we all have our challenges, and we all have our stories around it. And the bravery it takes to look those stories in the eye and get to know them, it actually shapes your future, because next time when you're faced with something, you've got the learning from that experience of looking it in the eye in the first place. So by looking your challenges in the eye, whether they're present or whether they're past, there's so much gold in our challenges the bits that we missed. And we often take away the bad stuff, who we can't be, who we shouldn't be, instead of letting those things inform us about what we love, about what's important to us, about what we value. And that's often the gold that you'll gather when you really look at these experiences straight in the eye and let yourself feel the truth of what's there. And often the surface, that first part that we go to, is all the angsty feelings. And then if we just stay with it a little bit longer and feel a little bit more deeply, that's where your love lives. That's where your passion lives. That's where the things that really matter to you start to reveal themselves. So asking questions, even if you write yourself out questions, asking yourself questions that allow you to look at your challenges can be full of gold. And if you don't want to look at your current ones, going back and looking at past ones will ultimately, most likely, inform your current challenge as well. And the other thing that I wanted to say is I hope from that you got the experience that you're so much more than your limiting story. You're so much more that wise, true, beautiful, soulful part of you, that wise woman, the woman who stands strong, who knows, who's connected to her soul, who feels her truth. She's so much bigger, stronger, more loving, more generous than and she can hold that frightened part of us, right? So that's you. It's not a separate thing. It's not something that you are pulling in from the outside. It's literally you. And we forget that sometimes. We think we're our struggle, or we think we're our story, but we're not. We're our soul. We're the expansive part of ourselves. We're the freedom, that the understanding that we're connected to so much more than our struggle can give us. You know, we're connected to that infinite energy. And the more we can remind ourselves of that through writing, sitting peacefully, nature, sacred space like this, the more graceful your life will ultimately become, because you'll be living from that past instead of the tumultuous, you know, angsty part of us. But that takes time and willingness and self-compassion and love for ourselves and space, right? We have to gift that to ourselves. That's part of giving ourselves the freedom to live. So we're going to do a meditation next, but before we do, Sophie's going to pull not pull a card. We've pulled a card already. Sophie's going to read a card. I'll show you the pack that it's from. It's from the Mother Mary pack. This is by an Australian author called Alana Fairchild. She has beautiful apps. They're not all about deities, although some of them are. She has them from Kuan Yin to Rumi, and she's got some really beautiful white light. Oracle is a really beautiful one. And they're also, you can buy them in the hard copy, but you can also get them on your phone as well. So you can buy it from the App Store. So yeah, Sophie, do you want to share? I'll hold the card up.
I just wanted to say as well that Kareena mentioned at the start that each of the pieces that we bring forward are we've connected with the sacred beforehand. So Kareena, if you could see how many packs of cards she has, oracle cards, she has hundreds of possible cards. So this is the one that we drew for you this morning. You might like to close your eyes and just take in these words. Our Lady of Peaceful Change. Change is coming to you now, my dear child. It is a change that has been triggered by the loving prayers held deep within your heart. This change does not have to be difficult for you. Trust in me, and I shall ensure that you are supported through this change, that you are held safely and securely in my heart as you transition from one way to another. I would like you to use your energy for more worthy purposes than unnecessary worry. Trust me a little more and know that the changes you are encountering now, or soon will, are actually the blessings of my answer to your prayers. Our Lady of Peaceful Change comes to us when change is either happening now or is on its way to us soon as an answer to a prayer. Not all change has to be difficult. Change can evoke thoughts of upheaval, uncertainty, instability, and even fear. We all have different capacity to accept change with equanimity, depending on the circumstances and situation. Sometimes it might seem very frightening indeed. At other times, it might not be so frightening. It may even be considered exciting, even whilst there are moments of confusion or uncertainty. Our mother, Mary, understands that sometimes change feels very challenging, and sometimes there's very good reason for this. Perhaps the sheer magnitude of the change requires a lot of emotional energy in order for us to be able to take the leap. In such situations, we might actually need a bit of a push from life or a nudge from the Divine Mother to take the steps. Those nudges will come in the form of life circumstances that urge us to loosen our grip and let life happen more freely. Sometimes it will be a gentle lull in the waves of the great ocean of life, and we relax, let go, and flow. At other times, we need a great big wave to overcome us in order to let go and realize that it is actually safe to flow. The fear was only about the letting go. However, the Holy Mother also knows that there are plenty of times when we worry or fear through change, and it is not necessary for us to do so at all. Our Lady of Peaceful Change comes to you now to allay any concerns you have about a change that is taking place right now, or will soon come to you. She tells you that everything is going to work out for the best, and that although there might be some adjustments to make, there is nothing to be concerned about. She has taken care of all the details, and you can relax and trust that if you need to attend to something, you will feel an inner nudge to do so. She is also letting you know that this change in circumstance or situation will actually feel much better for you. It will free you up from something that you weren't consciously aware was holding you back. She asks that you trust her and trust that as you adjust to the change, you'll realize that it is the answer to a prayer. The oracle of Our Lady of Peaceful Change brings a general piece of guidance, which is to trust a little more. Whether you relate to the experience of change in your life as happening now or believe that it needs to happen, she's asking you to pray to her and trust. All is happening in perfect timing. And whilst you can do all that is in your power when you can, don't believe that you have to force something to be. Change happens naturally as we grow. Trust it, trust yourself, trust her. In conclusion, my words for you are, I open to divinely inspired change for the greatest good. So be it.
Beautiful. I open to divinely inspired change for the greater good. Yeah, beautiful prayer for us and our planet, hey? So we're going to do a meditation now while we're in that beautiful space. I invite you now just to close your eyes and settle in. Take a moment to get comfortable, get all your wriggles out, move your body if you need to, and then let yourself soften. Allow your breath to find a gentle rhythm. And with each breath in and breath out, you soften and expand a little more. I invite you as you do this to choose to be of service to your heart and your divinity. I invite you to acknowledge that you are a beautiful, wise, and sacred woman, connected to infinite energy, expansive and with resources, expanding out through all time and space. You are unlimited. Allowing yourself to soften and remember that about yourself. I invite you to allow your awareness to float high above you. High above you until you find a beautiful circle of light. You may need to go above the sun or the moon, You may even choose to fly so high up to the center of the universe and find that circle of divine light. And you notice as you be with this circle that you can expand it and make it as big and full as you choose, as you invite that beautiful, sacred, divine light over you and through you. It washes over and through your field of energy and in through your crown at the top of your head. It softens your mind. It relaxes your neural pathways. It relaxes limiting beliefs so that they can begin to soften and fall away. And the light can flow over you and through you as slow or as quickly as you like, but just noticing now that it softens and opens your third eye, the space between your eyebrows, so that you can receive wisdom and see wisdom when it presents. And it flows down and softens your jaw and your mouth, your breath, and down into your throat, opening up your center for expression. And you begin to ask yourself, what may it feel like if you were fully expressed in voice, deed, and love? Just allowing the energy to settle there and expand in this beautiful area of your throat. And flows down your shoulders, out your arms, out your hands. And remembering that your hands are portals for both giving and receiving. Just noticing how that feels to give of yourself, of your expression, of your soul's truth. And receive all the love and generosity and resources that are available to you now. And if that needs some expansion, some allowing, just gift yourself that now. Give yourself permission to give and receive. Just noticing how that feels to allow that for yourself. And then noticing the light fills your chest, flows into your heart. And you can relax here, allowing the light to pool here, to bring peace, to bring the awareness to hear with your heart, to see with your heart, and to live from your heart. And you may even like to ask, while the light is here swirling and waking up and softening and expanding your heart, if you were truly listening to your heart, what would it have you know? And breathing in the answer. Whether you consciously know it or not, breathing your heart's wisdom throughout your body, allowing it to flow with the light now, down through your torso, filling your spine, filling your solar plexus, softening your belly, and feeling that beautiful pelvic bowl, your sacred feminine center, the source of your deep wisdom, your knowing. The sacred. And you might like to pause here once more as this beautiful light swirls and fills and clears and expands this beautiful center of your sacred wisdom. And if you were to ask the sacred, what would it have you know? What highest wisdom would it have you know now? And then breathing that in, saying yes to receiving this and more wisdom from your beautiful sacred self, allowing the light to now flow down your legs, out your feet, and flowing down to the center of the earth. Flowing down until you find that beautiful pool of light. And you may even like to feel yourself immerse into the pool of light at the center of the earth. And this is a beautiful spot to offer up your burdens, your struggles. You can imagine them melting away, being transformed in the love and energy of our precious earth as she wraps you in her light and in her love. Receiving, breathing that in, releasing, allowing. And you might like to ask the earth if she was sharing her sacred wisdom with you, what would she have you know? And you may need to expand and soften even further to really receive that wisdom, the seen and the unseen. The sacred is the seen and the unseen, the known and the unknown. And allowing all of that to float into your awareness, into your field. And when that feels complete, allowing your awareness and this light to flow up back through your feet, through your legs, through your hips, all the way up to your heart. And I invite you here to give yourself permission to live, to take flight, to soar. And you may not know what that is right now or what it is to become, but it begins here with permission. So you may like to let go of anything that you're holding in the way of you soaring, of living, of experiencing and expressing. This is the place to let it go, to shake it off, to release the shackles, to unchain yourself, untame yourself. And trusting that that's a continuous journey now, that it will just continue to fall away over the next minutes, hours, days even. Right now is the opportunity to allow yourself to take flight. So in your heart, I invite you to imagine yourself as a beautiful bird. Just noticing what that bird would be. A bird that can fly. Even if it doesn't fly in real life, it will fly right now because it's a beautiful, magical, divine bird that you are. And it may be a real bird or a bird you define as real, or it may be a fantasy bird. However it appears to you is just perfect. You give it as much color, size, life force, joy as it needs to have to express who you are. And you notice that it begins to fill with life force, more and more life force fueled by your precious heart. From your soul, from the divine, you notice this bird gets stronger and stronger, wilder and wilder, less tamed, less chained. And you just notice that this bird begins to move. It might even look like a dance. It might begin to move its wings, move its head, begin to feel the impulse to fly. And when it's gathered enough life force, you notice it now just takes flight. And you, as this beautiful bird, begins to soar high, high above you. In fact, from this aspect, this perspective of the bird, you can look down at yourself sitting in this space with your eyes closed. And you notice you, and you just take a moment to admire the woman that you are from this beautiful perspective high above you as the bird. You might even fly higher and higher until you can look down on yourself, just noticing what you love and appreciate about you, about the woman that you are, what you've endured, the strengths you've gathered, the life experience you own. And you just notice you as the bird expands. Your heart becomes more full, more alive than it ever has felt before as you look down on the woman you are with such deep gratitude and appreciation. You might even ask this question as the bird looking down. Who am I? What's important to this woman and who she is becoming? And just let yourself feel the answer from this higher perspective. Who am I? Who is the woman I am becoming? And let yourself acknowledge how beautiful that is, how special that is, who you are and who you are becoming. You feel your heart as the bird just expand even more. And now is your opportunity to fly, to observe, to learn, to hear. And you may like to fly through your past. You might like to explore from this high perspective, things that have happened in your past, things you want more information about, aspects of yourself that you want to love and appreciate from this beautiful high angle, this expression of freedom that you're embodying. Or you may like to float and fly over your future and explore who the woman it is that you're becoming. Where is the path leading you forward? Who do you need to become in order to fly that path with expansiveness and freedom and living? So just taking your time now to decide where you want to fly, staying in the present, going to the past, going to the future, wherever it is that you feel called. It may even be all three. Exploring, heart expanding. Remembering the sacred is the seen and the unseen, the known and the unknown, trusting that divine part of you is receiving all that it needs. And knowing that you can swoop down into moments in time, past, present, or future, and experience them. Or you can fly even higher and get greater perspective as you soar and fly through past, present, future. When you feel like you've gathered the information that you want or need, I invite you to fly out into your future. Fly to a point in time. It might be 12 months from now, 2 years, 5 years, or even just a month, wherever feels good. Just allow your bird, this beautiful magical creature, to find the perfect time where you're standing or flying into your future. And what is it that you would like to plant here? What seeds of possibility, what imagining would you like to plant in this future moment in time? And I invite you to take a moment to feel it. Bring it to life in your mind's eye. Plant the seeds, water it with gratitude and appreciation and love. Just taking a moment to build a future vision here in this moment in time. And then noticing if there's any resistance, any tension, anything that is questioning possibility, and shake that off. And remember, you're a beautiful, magical, divine being, powerful beyond even your wildest understanding. And so make the vision even brighter. You might like to bring in divine light, sprinkle the energy of magic, call on the earth for her wisdom, for her power. Bring in any other energies that feel important to you. And most of all, expand yourself, your soul, your magic, and breathe that in. Feel that vision come alive in every cell in your body, and say yes to it. Choose it, choose it, choose it. And then when that feels complete, just float above that, still above that moment in the future, floating high above it, and just looking back to you sitting in this room. And notice the journey that you need to take, or will take, or are choosing to take, to move from where you are now to this moment in your future. Who do you need to become? What qualities do you need to foster? What actions do you need to take? What does your human self need to let go of and leave here in the present? And just imagining yourself leaving it here. And what does your human self need to embrace, get on board with, claim? And just taking a moment to notice how that journey from you in this current space out into this moment where your beautiful bird is in the future, notice that it's a journey of gaining strength, that there'll be vulnerabilities, that there'll be moments where you feel unsure, but feel its truth anyway. Feel your commitment to making this journey anyway. As all things through all time and space conspire to bring this beautiful vision to life, choosing that now, the current self and this beautiful bird, and feeling the energy flow between the two, clearing the way, sprinkling the magic, beautiful, divine energy to clear the blocks, release the resistances, relinquish any past promises you've made to yourself that don't serve this future vision, letting them go now. And choosing for it to be so. And when that feels complete, noticing your bird rise above this moment in the future. The vision is still bright and beautiful and sprinkled with magical divine energy. And the bird flies back, filled with a heart full of gratitude and love for your courage, for your wisdom, for your humanness, for your divinity. And you notice that the bird starts to come back down and join you in this present moment, and you get to decide how you would like to embrace her. Whether you'd like to invite your beautiful bird back into your heart, or maybe she stays expansive and surrounds you in her wings, or maybe her energy just fills you all up with knowing and love and courage. Just noticing how you would like to meld with your beautiful bird. And feeling in your body now how it feels to be expansive and free and alive, and remembering this feeling, breathing it in, waking up every cell to this reality, saying yes to it. And as you do, breathing yourself back into the room, wiggling your toes, wiggling your fingers, knowing that vision is still there waiting for you to grow into it, claim it, become who you need to become. Starting to move your body, feeling yourself fully back into yourself now. Back into the room, back into your body. And when you feel ready, you can open your eyes.